I am Karel, and you know, the past 2 days I've thought about how fun sometimes it is to be me. Because it was pointed out by my friend Thea that if there's someone in the world I want to talk to, usually I can. And that's remarkable. And as any of you know, for years I have been raving about Emeli Sandé and her music. I haven't been raving about her personally, we're just meeting. But her music has been something that has touched me and changed my world, and I know so many others. And her story is one that I think will resonate with all of you as well. So she is gracious enough, while she's here in Los Angeles, to sit down and talk with me, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Emeli Sandé. Hello. Oh my God, I can't, you know, I really, it's fun to be a fanboy sometimes. Because as I told your sister Lucy, it started with our version of events, and then it segued into, you know, Long Live the Angels, where you took us to church.
Yes.
And then Real Life and Real Hair, which is all good. And the musical journey has been extraordinary. And I want to go from the aspect of American audiences, perhaps, because that's who my audience is. So you know, they make it, the media always does things. They make it seem like you were just happily going along being a doctor and then just decided to be a pop star. But that's really not true. You had, Tomorrow Starts Now, I believe, was it
Tomorrow Starts Again.
Tomorrow Starts, whatever happened to Tomorrow Starts Again?
Oh my God, yeah. That was my first song when I was about 6 or 7. I don't know, I can still remember it, strangely enough.
Well, why haven't you used it for something?
I don't know, that's a good thing. I need to bring it back.
You need to bring tomorrow, because tomorrow starts again. Yeah. And it's in your, you know, it's odd, you had the vibe then that you have now, really, about forward and about life progressing and taking the good and the bad and taking it with you along the way.
Yeah, I mean, my dad always introduced me to very strong lyricists, you know, Joni Mitchell and Nina Simone, and so I always had this example of very serious lyrics. I think I took that on board from quite young.
Well, you know, we talk about family. I jump around in my interviews a lot, but you know, my dad never got to hear me on radio. Okay. That bothers me. You got to give an award to your parents recently.
Yes.
And you've been made an honorary chair, or excuse me for not knowing the exact thing, but at the school where I believe your father teaches or went to the academy,
yeah.
And now you're involved in that school. How much fun is it that when you get to be Emeli Sandé, you get to be Emeli Sandé with your parents too?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's amazing to be able to experience it all with your family is just, you know, is my reason for doing it, really. But yeah, I got the honor of being the Chancellor of Sunderland University, where my parents went to. And, you know, I was born in Sunderland, and being able to hand over the degrees was just such a beautiful moment.
And you grew up in Scotland, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And Zambian father?
Zambian father and English mother.
And English mother?
Yes.
That made for an interesting cuisine.
Yeah.
Was our version of Events, your first album, which is spectacular, the cover threw me. I didn't know if you were old or young when I first saw it. That's the truth. When I first saw the image, I thought, wait, is she an older artist, or is she? And then when I saw you at Nokia Center, I go, she's young and fabulous and in tennis shoes and bouncing around and having a good time. How much of our version of Events, when it comes to songs that deal with like mountain or river, how much of that was your parents' relationship? Because you were so young, you hadn't really been through those types of relationships. You have now,
right, yeah.
But you hadn't then.
I think, well, Mountains was definitely inspired by their relationship. But yeah, everything, you know, I think when you're around people's energies, you take in what they're going through and it gets processed as a song one way or another. So some of it was my friends' relationships and also things I was going through. But Mountains especially is a lot more of a mature connection, I think.
My Kind of Love. I grew up with handicapped parents. I grew up in the AIDS generation. And that is me. It's like, if you want all of that, go somewhere else. But if you want someone that's going to be there when no one else will be, then call me. And so that song really resonated. And I heard that one of your inspirations was when you were studying, and you did study to be a neuroscientist, and almost was one, and then the album happened. So our version of Events, second album. The first was the Adele Sandé album. Your first name is Adele.
Yes.
And you were going to be Adele.
Yes.
And then Adele became Adele.
Right.
Yes. Put a wrench in your. It's like Karel. My name is Charles Raymond Boulay. but I was a writer. And when I released a record, they said, well, they're not going to take you seriously. So my late husband went to the dictionary and looked up Charles, and it's Karel in Czech. And he goes, you're Karel. And I go, oh, it's Czech for Chuck, so okay. So suddenly I became someone else because I didn't want to be judged by what the other name was going to imply. But that first album, that was someone that you had met, and you believed in him, he believed in you. Is Clown about sort of leaving that behind and moving into the major label structure? Because boy, that smacked of major. I've seen those people. No, sign here, it'll be great. Yeah.
I mean, that was definitely part of it. It was my first experience with having to showcase for people and learning the whole infrastructure. But I guess on a deeper level, it's just when you're looking out there and for some reason you are always, the loser, or the whole system has been designed for that to be your place. And I think that's what the song's really about. And that, I'll have time for please and all these pleasantries you want me to upkeep once I realize how I can get to the back of the line.
As an openly gay entertainer in America before it was fashionable or accepted, I related to that as well, because there was many times I've actually felt like, oh, you're just hiring me because I'm what you think a gay person is.
Right.
So I have to what if I don't want to be Bette Midler that day? What if I'm more somber that day?
Yeah.
But that's not what they expect. They expect flamboyance.
Right.
And I'll be your clown, here it is.
Okay, yeah.
That launched I can't imagine it. Those words are powerful. Words are very powerful. And when we say the word unimaginable, we just sort of toss it about. But the truth is, you went from studies and all of this to a major celebrity. That album took off.
Yeah.
And platinum and the top of the charts and the whole thing. When did you get the whiplash from that?
Maybe like a year and a half later, or like 2 years later, when you have to kind of work for the album because it has been so successful, which is wonderful. But as an artist, and I love creating music more than anything. So not having the opportunity to go back, recap, be in the studio, and have new expressions. That's when I began to feel.
Because you had people all of a sudden.
There were people to pay.
People.
And all of that. It was like
people. Anita Baker once told me, I write every check. I get writer's cramp. Well, you've got people, child. Yeah. So then you do our version of events. It's huge. On a personal note, what are the expectations like going into a second album after that kind of first?
Oh, God.
And did you notice? Of course you noticed them. How did you keep them at bay so you could create Long Live the Angels, which is breathing underwater? I want to be in the choir. You took us to church.
Thank you.
What happened between our version of events and I'm sorry, I'm blanking, but Long Live the Angels, to make you want to go to church? What took you to church?
I guess it was, life gets real. And
talking about real life.
Yeah. And when you have a tremendous success and everyone's happy and everyone's your best friend, and then to slowly see that change when it's not, it's just kind of like, this is how it is. This is the truth. I'm glad to see it, even though it's it's a sad truth, but it's a freedom to know the truth in that sense. So my point being, you just get to see everything for its realness, and I think that's what made me want to delve deeper lyrically and with my art, in that let's actually get to the real truth so I can stand on something solid.
And yet you always remain youthful in many of the tracks. It's funny, one minute you sound timeless and like Aretha and the song's going to last forever. And then the next minute, it's a really contemporary, very garden, where it's a really, Naughty Boy, we all have our muses.
Yeah.
And you and Naughty Boy seem to be each other's muses. You work well together. Yeah. You met early on in your career.
Yeah.
And you've been able to keep that association.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, we both got...
famous. And not sadly, but, schedules then.
Yeah. No, but recently, he's in LA at the moment. I had no idea he was going to be here. So, yesterday we reconnected. And yeah, I think we do inspire each other and we know how to handle each other.
Real life feels just that. And it brings a maturity that I think you had to live through. You had a personal relationship, and I don't really get into those or care about them. We all have our dramas. But how hard was it to try to be Emeli Sandé, pop star, Emeli Sandé, wife, Emeli Sandé, daughter? Yeah. How was juggling those jobs?
It was quite hard. Yeah, it was hard. And I think it's a big lesson to learn that you can't compartmentalize your life. At one point, it's all going to come and just be like a tornado. So yeah, that's something I've learned. Like, you can't separate things and people, and you just can't do that. And then also that unless I'm giving 100%, I'm never going to be happy. And if you divide yourself so many times, you can only physically give 20% of yourself because you cut.
Because you don't have any left. How do you recharge? I go cook, like your friend Luca was making the cheesecake. I go, and I would love to taste it, but I'm a vegan. Shout out to Luca and his cheesecake, child. They look good, honey. But how do you recharge? Do you cook? What do you do?
Well, I do just genuinely love like sitting and just playing the piano with no intention of recording it or it being anything other than just pure meditation. Singing when you're not doing it as a job is a lovely experience. So I'm trying to do that more, just sing more openly and generally.
Do you find, hairdressers have the worst hair. Do you find that when you now get paid to sing, you sing less?
Yes.
Isn't that weird?
That's my New Year's resolution. Why do I not just sing in the house anymore? And, that's the whole point of singing.
My friend Thea, who I told you about, we met at a magazine very close to here. We went out with the publisher one night. And he said, you two should go sing karaoke. And we look and go, we get paid to sing. And he goes, and he looked at me and he said, a singer sings.
Right.
That was like such a powerful message to hear at that point.
Yes.
It's like, if you have a voice and you use it, a singer sings. No matter where you are, if you have a chance to sing, go sing. With Real Life, you decided to become a little more real with your fans in terms of your hair. That was, and there's a great movie, Academy Award nominated short that I'm going to send you the link for called Hair Love. I thought of you when I watched it. But also with lyrically, it kind of got very like, are you gonna bring me the medicine? Or who's there? Why, I don't want to say why a reality slap, but was this album, Real Life, your way of regrounding yourself?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the whole process of making the album was at home, around family.
Billie Eilish they said they made the album in their garage, in their bedroom.
Energy and your surroundings are so important. So yeah, it was a grounding. It was a let's rebuild from scratch. And if this is the beginning of the journey, or to me, I see it either as the close of a chapter, the close of a trilogy, or
like the other Adele. She did the 21, 20, or 18, 21, 25, or 19, 21, 25, and she said that's it. There's no more, and that part's over.
Quite a nice feeling to close the book. So Real Life does feel a kind of ending to that trilogy.
Now, you've also done a bunch of fabulous singles, from Extraordinary Being. I'm sorry that movie didn't do better because the song was incredible.
I loved the movie.
Yeah, I know, I like the movie too. I was like, what's wrong with the movie? Why is everyone not liking the movie? But I love the movie and I love the song, and the song was extraordinary. And you've done Naughty Boy and Rudimental. I don't like I love that song. You mentioned Michael Jackson in that song too. You mentioned him in a couple songs.
Yes.
So what is it that draws you to dance music? I saw you sing with David Guetta, and you really love dance music. What is it about dance music that you love?
Well, it's just so bombastic, and it's it's a kind of giving genre because you want the crowd to come together. But I can properly sing. You can really go for it, like gospel-wise, and it's just nice. I love being able to do music on stage that people can dance to because a lot of the time clown and you're sitting, but to get the energy up, it just feels great.
Well, I could talk to you forever, and I thank you for taking the time today. We look forward to the next album. The current album is called Real Life. There's lots of good material on it, great material on it. So please, if you in America and you haven't gotten it yet, once you get it, then get our version of Events. And long live the Angels. And believe me, you will not be unhappy with any of it. Go get all the other singles. You won't be unhappy. Thank you. Please, I know you want to, but you got to come and perform for us sometimes because we're dying for you over here. I was just at a Grammy function and I was talking to the ladies. I go, you know Emeli, right? Emeli Sandé. They're like, of course we know. I go, do you know that he dates? No, she hasn't announced any. I'm just like, oh.
I can't wait to. I'm honestly so excited.
And we're excited to have you. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am Karel. This is Emeli Sandé, and we thank her for her time.